Hey everybody, welcome back to 7 Billion Geniuses. Today I'm going to be talking about doubt. And in typical narrative fashion and 7 Billion Geniuses fashion, I'm going to ask myself what I mean by doubt. And full disclosure, I already started to have these thoughts, and this is why I'm doing the video now, because I wanted to make it as now as I could. Since I was already thinking about it, I decided to come out and start this. So what I mean by doubt is a proposal. Why I say a proposal is because I want to make a really clear distinction between feelings and beliefs. It's one of my 7 Billion Geniuses things to make that distinction. The reason why it's so important is because a feeling, like pain, is a feeling. It's a physiological experience. It is what it is. It needs to be responded to. A belief is something that comes from somewhere. And so doubt is a proposal based on a belief, suggestion. And what I mean by doubt in this context is that there's something that I'm planning to do, something that I want to do, something that I hope to do, that I won't be able to do, and that the outcome will somehow be other than what it's supposed to be, or other than what ought to be, or take me in a direction that's somehow not good. And so, as you can probably see by that way of thinking, I'm then in a position to challenge that idea of that outcome being somehow other than what it's supposed to be. One of the book's points is this notion of the one right outcome, which evolved in a conversation that I was having with another person. It's a very important idea for her when she got caught up in this notion of the one right outcome, because it really put her in a position where she was paralyzed and kind of unable to move. The one right outcome being this notion that if a certain thing doesn't happen, then it will not be good. Things won't continue to progress the way they're supposed to. And so all these supposed to ideas and ideas of goodness and ideas of a singular trajectory are all about the one right outcome. So this all ties back to this notion of doubt, which ultimately positions us to think that there's supposed to be one way that things will go and one way that things will come out. And it can be, as you can imagine, particularly paralyzing. And so if we bring to this another 7 Billion Geniuses idea, once again taken from narrative therapy and the ideas of Michael White, this notion of absent but implicit, what is implicit in what we want the outcome to be is the stuff that we stand for and what matters to us. So if I think about doubt, like for example, so I'm going to be doing one of the hardest shows that I do every year. I'm a musician as well. I'm not sure that everybody knows that, but I'm a musician as well. I play a lot, but one of the hardest shows that I do every year happens twice, but it happens to be happening today, and it's the recital, the winter recital for my voice teacher, Amanda Mutton's voice studio. And one of the hardest things about it is that I'm performing in front of her, which means a lot to me, performing in front of a lot of students in my family, which means a lot to me. I only get to do one song. Everyone's nervous because they're all going to perform. There's lots of reasons why it's difficult, but for me it's an extraordinarily difficult thing to do. So I'm sitting in this position of considering doubt. And what doubt is proposing to me today is the idea that I won't be able to do it the way I think I need to do it. In other words, perform my song in the way that I think it should be performed. And as an artist, that's a particularly problematic position to be in, I think particularly because art is about what it is. It's not about the way it's supposed to be. It's about a continual evolution, which brings me to the idea of the masterpiece. Folks generally don't know that what a masterpiece really is when you have created something that includes all the lessons that you've been taught so far, and you bring it to the master for that person to make the evaluation about whether or not you've learned all that you can learn from the guild or from the particular style or form of art, and now it's time for you to add your own piece. So the masterpiece is not the end of a process, it's the beginning of a process. So then what doubt does for me is it brings me into this confining notion of possibilities that only one outcome is the right outcome, that things are supposed to be perfect, whatever that means, and that it's this continually closing smaller and smaller and smaller trajectory around possibilities as opposed to a widening and widening one, where everything that happens is simply that, what happened, and the most important thing we do is what we do next. So to track back through this once again, doubt. We start with doubt as a proposal that brings us to a position. We move away from the idea that doubt is a feeling. It's an invitation, and it's an invitation, from my experience and the way I think about doubt, to consider constricting possibilities instead of expanding possibilities. That what I'm going to do is either right or wrong in the context of some kind of evaluative position that I don't even know what it is, and I'm not even sure I've signed off on, that puts me in a position of thinking that I've somehow not done what I'm supposed to do in the context of a singular one right outcome, and it's perpetually limiting. So having walked through this process right now in front of you myself, aside from the stuff that I did about 10 minutes ago on my own before I started filming, here we are now, and I'm sitting here thinking about doubt as something that limits my ability to see that what's going to happen today is simply that, what's going to happen. And the most important thing is not that. The most important thing is what I choose to do next. Stay in touch. See you next week.